How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do, but didn't do it? You overthought it, you asked 5 people what they thought, you waited for a sign, for the right timing, the perfect confirmation, or one more piece of proof that never came. And then the moment passed. You told yourself you were being patient, waiting for clarity, but deep down, you knew the truth. It wasn't patience, it was hesitation, dressed up as wisdom. That's what indecision does. It pretends to protect you, when really, it's stealing your power one small moment at a time. Every time you delay, defer, or avoid making a choice, you send a message to yourself, I don't trust me. And that's how we quietly abandon ourselves. Not with big, dramatic moments, but with small, silent hesitations that tell fear it's still in charge. Because decision is power. It's not just about action, it's about alignment. It's about trusting yourself enough to act on what your inner truth already knows. And that doesn't mean you'll always get it right. In fact, you're not supposed to. Wrong decisions are teachers too. They carry lessons, build resilience, and refine your wisdom. Every time you decide, even imperfectly, you reclaim your power. Today, I want to show you how indecision quietly erodes confidence, why choosing is sacred, and how to rebuild the kind of self-trust that allows you to lead your life instead of waiting for permission to live it. Indecision often feels like safety. If you don't choose, you can't be wrong. If you don't decide, you can't fail. If you don't commit, you can keep your options open. But the truth is, indecision is a decision. It's the decision to stand still that leaves you feeling stuck. It's like standing at a crossroads, staring at both paths, waiting for the wind to tell you which one to take, while life keeps moving without you. And every moment you hesitate, you send a quiet message to yourself, I don't trust you. I don't believe you can handle this. That's not safety. That's self-abandonment. Because when you hesitate, fear makes the choice for you. When you delay, you train your mind to doubt its own wisdom. And let's be clear, standing still is rooted in fear, not wisdom. That's not to say that taking your time to make a decision isn't a strong strategy, because it certainly can be. But what we're discussing here today is when indecision robs you of the opportunities you seek in life while masking itself as wisdom and intelligence. Because when you refuse to choose, you cut off the very current of energy that was meant to carry you forward. Decision is movement. It tells life, I'm ready. It's the spark that ignites alignment, the moment the universe begins to conspire in your favor. But indecision? It's a cage built from comfort. It looks like control, but it's really confinement. It keeps you circling the same lessons, convincing you that stillness is safety when, in truth, it's fear wearing the mask of caution. Life isn't waiting for you to be certain. It's waiting for you to decide. Because clarity doesn't come before choice. It's born from it. In the early years of building my business, I struggled with indecision more than I'd like to admit. Opportunities would come to collaborate, to speak, to grow, and instead of saying yes or no, I'd stall. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? What if it's not the right time? So, I waited. And while I was waiting, life kept moving. Someone else would take the spot. The connection would fade. The opportunity would vanish. And the irony? I thought I was being wise, cautious, thoughtful. But I wasn't. I was scared. Eventually, I realized something that changed everything. Indecision was costing me far more than any mistake ever could. Every missed opportunity became a mirror reflecting the same truth. Mike, you don't trust yourself. That realization hit hard, because it wasn't about business. It was about belief. I had trusted fear more than I trusted myself. So I made a promise. No more waiting. From that moment on, I decided quickly and trusted completely. I stopped letting my emotions dictate my movement. I made choices and stood confidently in them, even when they turned out to be wrong. Because here's the truth. Wrong decisions don't define you. They refine you. Every so-called mistake became feedback, a stepping stone toward clarity. Every decision, right or wrong, built my confidence and deepened my intuition. And that's what most people never realize. Every great leader is sculpted by their decisions, not their contemplations. The ones who make it aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who choose, learn, and grow until their choices become wisdom. Once I started living that way, everything shifted. My business began to accelerate, not because I suddenly knew everything, but because I stopped abandoning myself in hesitation. Each decision became an act of self-leadership. Each commitment became a declaration of faith in who I was becoming. And that's when I understood something powerful. A decision isn't just an action, it's an alignment. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to choose for you and finally choose to lead it yourself. Every decision you make is a declaration of self-trust. It's you saying, I trust myself to handle whatever happens. It's you saying, my voice matters more than fear. It's you saying, I choose to lead my life, not abandon it. Decision is sacred because it anchors your authority. It sends a message deep into your subconscious. I am safe to act. I am capable. I am ready. And the moment you decide, life responds. Energy moves with your commitment, but you can't experience that movement while waiting for certainty. You have to choose from faith because faith is what awakens flow. Most people believe clarity comes first, but it doesn't. Clarity isn't what gives you the power to decide. Decision is what creates the clarity. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just the next step. Once you take it, the rest reveals itself piece by piece in perfect timing. That's the paradox of creation. Movement invites guidance. You act, and the path appears. Decision is the bridge between intention and manifestation. It's how the invisible becomes visible. It's how potential becomes progress. Because every time you decide, you activate energy. The same creative force that built worlds now moves through you. And that's why every moment of hesitation matters. Every time you wait for certainty, you delay your own miracles. You hold back the very current that was meant to carry you forward. Because life doesn't respond to confusion, it responds to commitment. So, how do you actually break free from hesitation and start trusting yourself to move again? Let's break it down step by step. The first step is to recognize the cost of waiting. Every time you delay, you think you're buying time, but what you're really doing is spending energy. Ask yourself, what is this indecision costing me right now? Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's momentum. Maybe it's another opportunity that's quietly slipping by. We tell ourselves, I just need more time to think. But time isn't the healer. Choice is. Because while you're stuck in analysis, life is moving forward. And the longer you wait, the more your self-trust collapses. The second step is to remember that decision creates clarity. Most people think they need to feel sure before they act, but that's not how it works. Clarity doesn't come first. It comes through the act of deciding. When you make a choice, you send energy forward, and that energy illuminates the next step. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next move. Every small act of decision builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. The third step is to embrace mistakes as teachers, not proof that you've failed. Here's the truth. No one gets it right all the time, and they're not supposed to. Wrong decisions aren't dead ends. They're detours that refine your wisdom. Each one shows you something about yourself, your values, your limits, your resilience. If you let them teach you, they'll make you stronger than success ever could. Failure isn't what breaks people. Fear of failure is. The fourth step is to anchor in your inner authority. Before you ask anyone else what they think, pause and ask yourself, what do I know is true for me? Your intuition is like an inner compass, but it can't guide you if you keep silencing it with outside noise. Start with small decisions, even simple ones, and practice choosing based on what feels aligned, not what feels approved. The more you follow that inner voice, the louder it becomes, and soon it stops whispering and starts leading. And the fifth step is to decide quickly and commit fully. Once you've made your decision, stand by it. Don't look back. Don't second guess. Don't apologize for it. Indecision drains energy. Commitment creates it. Life supports momentum, not hesitation. So when you make a choice, own it. Learn from it. Let it move you. Because the universe doesn't respond to maybe, it responds to movement. Here's the truth. Every step you take in faith is a step out of fear. And once you start walking with conviction, even when you can't see where it's leading, life begins to rise up and meet you. Because decision is how you claim your power back from hesitation. It's how you stop surviving and start creating. Over the years, I've worked with so many clients who found themselves trapped in the same loop of indecision. They know they want change. They can feel the pull towards something better, but they get stuck in their heads, analyzing every angle, waiting for the perfect moment to act. They'll say things like, I just need to get a few things in order first, or I'll start once life settles down. But here's the truth. Life never settles down until you do. I can't tell you how many times someone has come to me wanting to join my program, ready to change their life, and then said, I need to wait until things calm down. And I get it. That voice sounds logical. But what they don't realize is that the very reason they need the work is because life feels chaotic. Waiting for peace before taking action is like waiting to stop drowning before you learn to swim. The mind will always find a reason to delay when fear is running the show. It tells you that waiting is wisdom, that hesitation is maturity, that caution means control. But what it's really doing is keeping you safely stuck in the same cycle of almost. And that's how years pass. You think you're thinking, but you're really stalling. Because fear is clever. It doesn't always scream danger. Sometimes it whispers, let's just wait until everything lines up perfectly. But here's the reality. Nothing ever lines up perfectly. Life aligns after you move, not before. That's why indecision is one of the most common and costly forms of self-sabotage I see. It keeps good people stuck in preparation mode, waiting for confidence, waiting for clarity, waiting for conditions to change, when all along, those things only come after the choice is made. And this isn't just about business or coaching. It's about life. It's about relationships, healing, purpose, everything. Because the real trap isn't failure. It's postponing your potential under the illusion of caution. If there's one thing I want you to take from this message, it's this. Indecision isn't safety. It's self-abandonment. It's how we keep ourselves stuck in loops of almost, convincing ourselves that waiting is wisdom when it's really fear dressed as logic. Every time you delay what you already know to do, you tell yourself, my fear matters more than my truth. But every time you decide, even when it's uncomfortable, you build a new message within you. I trust myself to lead my life. That's what decision really is. It's not about control. It's about courage. It's the moment you align with your higher self and say, I'm ready to live what I know. Decision is power. It's clarity in motion. It's self-love in action. So here's my challenge for you this week. Make one decision you've been avoiding. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop trying to be certain before you move. Choose, commit, and watch what begins to unfold. Because when you decide, you don't just change your direction. You change your destiny. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to go deeper, I've got 2 invitations for you. First, download your free copy of my book, Fight Back. It's a blueprint to reprogram fear at the root, rebuild your confidence, and reclaim the power of decision in every area of your life. You'll find the link in the description below. And second, if you're ready for personal guidance, if you're done circling the same decisions and you're ready to take back your authority, book a free consultation with me. We'll get clear on where hesitation has been draining your energy and map a direct path to alignment, action, and real results. Because life doesn't wait for certainty. It responds to commitment. So decide. Decide to trust yourself. Decide to move. Decide to lead your life and watch everything begin to rise to meet you.